On a cliff top, overlooking a shallow pool, I met a man in a sharp black suit. It was unusual to see anyone in that peculiarly beautiful spot, miles from town and a difficult hike uphill. The man placed a big bunch of flowers down before he noticed me approach, then turned to greet me, his cheeks streaked with tears. "Didn't think I'd meet anyone else up here," he said, straightening his silk tie. "I lived nearby when I was a boy. We moved around a lot and didn't stay long." I asked who the flowers were for, and he thought long and hard before answering. But then he bowed his head, as if beaten down by something deep inside, and he decided to confide. "I've never told this to anyone, and I'd deny it in a court of law." I told him I wasn't a cop. He chuckled and seemed more at ease. 20 years ago, I was here with a school friend," he said. "Mikey was a loner, like me, from a broken home. We just bumped into each other whilst throwing stones down into that pond below. Two bored kids passing time one spring Saturday." The man picked up some pebbles and began tossing them off the cliff. You couldn't hear them splash as the water was too far down. Then we started shoving each other, back and forth, taking turns. It was only a game. We were only 9 years old. Folks don't let their kids play outside anymore. Ain't that a shame? I nodded politely, but I shoved Mikey too hard. He went right over the edge, the man said, tears spiking the corners of his eyes again. He didn't even have time to scream. I made the mistake of looking down at him, briefly, and those 2 seconds have cost me a lot of sleep. Wincing, the man leaned over the edge. His body was crooked, like a lightning bolt. Not enough water to cushion his fall. Sharp rocks had almost torn his arms off. "That happened exactly 20 years ago?" I asked. "Not quite," he replied. 20 years and 2 days. That's what makes it murder. His deadbeat family didn't report him missing at first. By the time a search party arrived, they figured he'd only been dead for a couple of hours. If I'd only told someone what had happened, instead of running off home, scared, and keeping it a secret, well, they could have maybe saved him. "Is that so?" I said softly. The man was peering down, perhaps seeing things which were no longer there. Animals started eating Mikey while he was still alive. 2 days he lay in the wind and rain, afraid. I can only imagine what that must have been like. "You don't have to imagine," I said, shoving the man over the edge. He mustn't have had time to scream either. Then I took, from my backpack, flowers for my big brother, Mikey, feeling like a great weight had been lifted from my chest.